In this world of darkness populated by untold horrors, four idiots, united by fate and held together through disliking one another slightly less than everyone else they meet, might just save us all. Largely by accident. Welcome to This Bloody Mess, the increasingly poor decisions of four vampires.
Not in the cave, am I?
You are.
Fuck!
You are in a cave to which you have just barricaded the only known exit.
Are you shitting me? Wow! Back into the wolf's den I go. Oh, God. This isn't good.
That reminds me, let's see how your perception goes. Nope. You rolled a 2. You
Not
are...
a critical failure.
It's not a critical failure, which is why, in the dim sunlight, you do manage to spot, when they are very close to you, a small collection of wolves.
Son of a bitch.
It is not your day.
No. No, it's not. Today has gone far more poorly than I had expected. Kill 3 men. God. Wolves now. Great. I draw my blade. Bow's not going to be useful. They're too close.
Yeah, you grabbed your blade. Let me see. So dexterity and melee, that's a lot. Do you attack the wolves?
The moment they're clearly close enough to attack me, yes.
They're looking at you, but they don't seem aggressive.
If they're not attacking, I'm not attacking back. Really holding my ground.
You hear a voice from the darkness. It returns of its own volition.
Those holes in the ground don't exactly make it easy to not return. You gonna keep playing mind games with me, or are you gonna show yourself?
I dislike the light. Step out of the water and into my lair.
Oh, really? What, you rip my head off? Like you did O'Leary's?
I do not know who that is.
Other man that was with me?
The coward or the tasty one? Well, I suppose I only ripped off one's head. Question answered.
Well, yeah. Then, yeah, you know who I was talking about.
No matter. You see a spark, and light flares up from one direction. You see a ragged, but otherwise human-seeming figure down a short passageway in the wall of the cave. Please, walk this way. My honored guest. You find it leads out of the water and into a small, naturally occurring grotto. Inside, you find the 2 wolves that approached you earlier. They have been following you at a light pace. The mysterious figure pats one on the head.
So, who, pray tell, are you?
I am almost certain I had a name once. These are the things that you forget when you've been away from civilization for a while.
That's an answer at least. Well, I don't know, what should I call you then?
He thoughtfully scratches his wolf's ears. While we are on the subject, I do not know your name.
Actually, that's going to be quite interesting, considering... I just realized something very interesting. I only wrote down the name that he has in his current life, considering he's had to change it a few times at this point. Fuck it. He took his, this is a name he's used twice now, so whatever. James McGann.
James. It is a good name. I think I knew one once.
It's possible.
I seem to recall being called Henry at some point in the past.
Well, Henry, pleasure to meet you, all things considered. You know, besides my comrade's head being removed from his shoulders.
I was hungry.
So you said. Doesn't explain much, though.
I live here. You're the ones who are causing a ruckus, making it damn near impossible to sleep. What's going on up there, anyway?
Fight for freedom. Trying to get the English off our land.
Ah, freedom.
Push all the way to Dublin, and then out of the damn country.
You want freedom.
Aye. English killed me pa. Burned me farm. Figure I pay 'em back in kind.
I can show you a way to be more free than you could ever dream.
That's so.
Aye. He gestures at the wolves and he says, animals, they know the secret to true freedom. That's a lesson I learned from the person who made me what I am. Here, why don't I show you?
Show me what?
Without answering verbally, he starts moving towards you.
Oh dear.
He smiles and you see his teeth begin to bend into huge, almost canine fangs.
Oh, sweet Christ!
Relax, dear boy. In a moment, you'll know the true meaning of freedom.
Oh, God.
He lunges at you, seizing you by the head and neck, and you find his long teeth buried in your neck. That's the last thing you remember for a while.
Oh, God. Well, this ended poorly.
You awake in what you can only imagine is the following nightfall.
Oh. Okay.
You find yourself in the same cave, knee-deep in the same water, lying on a stretch of rock. In the dim light of a fire, you see near you the same man. You awake feeling hungry. Overpoweringly hungry.
Food. Need to eat.
Well, you should have no problem finding any down here, says the man. I set those pits when I realized there were going to be people in my land. Heard a fair few splashes during the day, so you should have no trouble finding prey down here.
Pray.
Prey? Like the ill-tempered ruffian you brought down to my lair last night. Or perhaps the fleeing Englishman you yourself chased into one of my pits.
Oh, really? Well, I stand up. I start walking.
You're a little wobbly,
Ew.
but as you're moving through the darkened cave, you realize that you can see much more easily in the darkness than you could before. You can hear the sounds of splashing as people struggle in the interior of the cave.
I start looking for people.
All right. You roll a 2.
Oh, damn it.
Looking for people just isn't your strong suit.
No, it's not.
Fortunately, people find you.
Oh, do they now?
Specifically, you hear a call of, "Don't come any closer, you limey sir!" And you lay your eyes on O'Hanrahan.
I blink. Seeing O'Hanrahan, you say? Just him?
Yeah. He is in a you wander in the cave a bit and you find yourself face to face with O'Hanrahan. He's got a sword, but once he realizes it's you, he just sort of lowers it.
O'Hanrahan. It's good to see you. Oh, God.
Are you all right, sir?
Hungry.
Oh,
Eat.
I don't know how much I can spare because I don't know how long we'll be here since we barricaded the entrance, but here. He hands you a bit of dried meat that he had in his rations.
I take a bite of it.
Alright, let me see here. You don't immediately vomit it up, but it does nothing to assuage your hunger.
Well, that's not good.
Alright, so I'm gonna roll something else here.
Oh, dear.
Oh, you don't have that. Okay.
Don't have what?
A cult.
Oh, dear. Well, learn anything yet. Of course not.
Okay, so nothing really happens. Oh! Looking at O'Hanrahan in the dark, you can't help but remember what happened to Leary when he came face to face with the man that, well, did whatever he did to you. You feel the hollows in your throat where he bit you.
Oh.
And as you're staring at O'Hanrahan, you feel your own teeth begin to lengthen into animalistic fangs.
Well, that's not good.
You have a choice now of rolling self-control or just eating O'Hanrahan.
Well, I'll try to roll self-control. Why not?
You bosh. Alright, so you rolled 2 1s and a 2.
That's really bad.
Yeah,
Double
it's...
touch.
Each one subtracts a success, and you rolled no successes. So you have -2 successes. You, without any pretense of civility, immediately frenzy and start ripping O'Hanrahan to pieces, drinking his sweet human blood.
Well, that's not good. Oh, this has gone from bad to worse.
Let's see how you fare on a conscience roll. Much better. Alright, so you slide out of your frenzy with the mutilated body of your cowardly friend in your hands, and are able to justify your actions morally to your worldview. You do not lose humanity.
He was a coward?
He was a coward and a scoundrel.
Exactly. Oh, God.
And you gained 10 blood points, so you now feel perfectly happy.
Oh, good. Oh, well, that happened.
You feel a little weird, and taking a moment to look at yourself in your reflection of the moonlit water, you can see that your eyes are glowing red.
I blink. Oh, God, no.
Yeah?
What in the blazes am I?
Hang on, I'm going to test for something. Whoops. Appearing behind you with absolutely no warning, the man from the cave says, "We call ourselves kindred, but I believe the mortal word for us is vampires."
I blink, staring at him.
Of course, some cultures go with vampire, vampirshi, Nosferatu, the unquiet dead.
So, yeah. Well,
You are now Gangrel.
you're gonna have to explain some of these terms.
The world of the human is lost to you now. The way of the beast is the way forward. The hunter.
Well, lived off land up to this point. Guess it ain't that much different.
Excellent.
I say, chuckling nervously.
Now, you've finished with your friend over there, he says, pointing at the disfigured lump in the middle of the water. There's a good couple of 100 fleeing Englishmen. What do you say we pick off a few of the weakest and the slowest?
Sounds like a good time.
Come on, I know another exit to the cave.
Oh, well, that's good. I follow.
Your sire begins teaching you the ways of the hunt. He teaches you to access your powers. Oh, I guess we can roleplay that, actually. He points at some tracks, and he tells you, "I believe they went this way. Try," points to a bird nearby, and he says, "Try asking that bird what it can see."
Alright. I'll try that then.
Do you just ask the bird? How do you do that?
I start talking to the bird.
Alright. The bird looks at you and tilts its head quizzically.
Where are they? Where are the English? They left this way. Oh god, this is hilarious.
You feel something inside your head, and you push it out into the bird, and suddenly you get a distinct sense. You're not quite seeing through its eyes, but you feel the impression of people having passed recently.
Well,
You also get the impression that if you told this bird to do something, just sort of without even having to say it, you could get it to behave a certain way.
behave a certain way, you say.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I suppose I tried to get it to, show us the way that they went.
The bird flies off excitedly, at a pace which you can follow.
I follow.
Before long, you find yourself at a small encampment of hiding English.
Oh, good.
Your, erstwhile master, before you can actually walk into the camp, puts a hand on your shoulder and says, "This might be a more advanced technique, but I have faith that you're ready for it." He holds out his hands, and they mutate into vicious claws.
I blink twice. Okay.
He just reaches up and rips a tree branch off of a tree with one of them.
Boy, that barricade would have been useless.
Yep.
Well, I had to try it at some point. I try focusing myself and try to grow claws.
You do so.
I blinked twice. That's impressive.
Yeah, you have claws now.
Well, this should be fun.
I'm not even gonna roll for this because this is facile. You descend upon 3 mildly wounded English soldiers and together rip them further to shreds, laughing all the way.
It's quite possible I'm going mad.
The man beside you says, "That's good, embrace that. That's the feeling that we're going for."
Oh, I just keep going. This could be quite fun.
Indeed. But come, we've spent a long time on these men's trail. The sun will be rising soon. And what you are now is not the kind of thing that can hang around in daylight.
Well, that's not good. That makes things easier attacking the English, though. I say, chuckling under my breath before I followed him.
Indeed. You know, I have grown a little bored of my cavern system lately. Perhaps I could be of use.
I'm sure that you could.
All right. You fight for freedom. I'll fight because I'm bored.
Better reason than none.
And this is probably our time skip moment.
Yep.
Thanks for tuning in to This Bloody Mess, the increasingly poor decisions of 4 vampires by Painted Still. If you like this video, give it a like, consider subscribing to our channel. If you want to support our content, we have a Patreon, link is in the description.